whole community. This paper addresses the connection between digital technology and women's liberation in Iran, with a special focus on its part in eroding the systems reconfiguration, asserting the right and creating link amongst women, adopting the concrete situation and employing socio-cultural theories. This paper corroborates dance as a mere medium of activism and as a means of liberation of one's mind. Digital performances and cultural preservation. Dance in Iran is full of many different styles, each of which tells the story of the cultural and historical situation of the area. On the one hand, the digital platforms that are what makes real the documentation and this of traditional practices possible, thus solving their survival problems in a world where globalization is increasing, redefining Iranian identity in digital world. The use of Iranian dance as a form of digital art is also a catalyst to reshaping the image of Iran in the world. Additionally, the outreach of digital platforms globally has been the avenue whereby Iranian dance meets cross-cultural engagement, hence promoting mutual understanding and the positive perception of one another. The formation of Persian dance circles was significantly influenced by social media participation. Chiefly, the provision of a ground for reinventing the art with the support of other non-professional practitioners and instructors. Dance as a form of resistance and reclaiming public space. In Iran, dance has always been a highly debated activity, especially for women. It had give way to the very strict religious regime after the 1979 Islamic Revolution. There was a lot of public dancing that was not allowed, involving women dancing with men. Dancing not only makes women feel empowered, but also represent women's opposition to the gender norms that the regime has forced on them. Fostering solidarity and empowerment and the role of social media in amplifying women's voices. Dance is one of the ways Iranian women can experience solidarity and empowerment, which has to be taken into account. Contrary to the society in which women are often told to keep quiet, dance is a form of non-verbal communication that goes far beyond the limits of language and culture. And of course, social media has made it possible, even for women from remote part of Iran and the diaspora, to do these online dance challenges in what is actually a part of a collective act of defiance. These tasks not only allow the women of Iran to come to the fore in the worldwide campaigns, but also make it possible to enjoy the sense of the world community among the participants. On other side of the story, arrests for dancing in Iran happens a lot. And the regulation, among other instructions, included dancing, singing, and other forms of artistic performances being forbidden as they were being judged as un-Islamic. Such restrictions come from the implementation of Sharia law by the regime, which is the view that public dancing could possibly be a major source of moral depravity, and especially as a violation of gender segregation. We had, because of that, we have notable cases of arrests for dancing. In 2014, a happy dance arrest happened. The police arrested some groups of youngsters who started to dance a video of Happy in Tehran. The film, which showed men and women dancing together, was labeled by Iranian government as being rude and indecent. The most well-known groups were 6 dancers, 6 young Iranians, and people they sentenced to 6 months in prison and 91 whips. But the penalties turned out to be less severe than originally planned due to international community pressure, of course. Another group are Instagram dancers. In 2020, over the past few years, the Iranian authorities seem to be more and more focused on people who are in social media and post dance videos. In the year of 2020, Iranian police have detained hundreds of Instagram users, among whom were popular dancers for the posting video clips in social media showing them dancing provocatively on their eyes or engaging in un-Islamic behavior. Of course, another groups are dance teachers and performers. Dance teachers have experienced mistreatment too. In 2019, dance teachers of Isfahan found themselves being taken into custody after they had been conducting sacred dance classes for the youth. And the last case, it happened some days ago. The video, which had been shared across the social networking sites, especially Instagram and Twitter, showed 2 young girls dancing at the tomb of the unknown soldier, which is a site where Iranian soldiers who died in the Iran-Iraq war are buried, some of them, some soldiers. The event took place in a period of heavy it happened in the heavy turmoil throughout the country, especially in the wake of the 2022 protests that erupted. The police accidentally killed a young woman, Mahsa Amini, the victim of Iran mandatory hijab law violation. After the event, Iranian authorities favored to use oppression and propaganda simultaneously, and the girls and their families are asked to answer some questions, and the girls were arrested. And the video was withdrawn from social media. For conclusion, we can say that digitalization as a whole has only managed to translate very good thoughts or bad ones from a human cognitive mind or memory into a digital form, thus pursuing new goals, designs, and ideas. It is the result of this dual relation that traditional dance of Iranian origin continues to preserved in the digital age. The dance movement in Iran poses a serious threat to the ring of the government aiming at total control of the behavior of the public and control the public space. Despite the fact that the political leaders of Tehran imposed harsh control on all actions of their citizens, they are unable to suppress the spirit of rebellion born from the dance as a metaphor for freedom. The case of two girls dancing at the tomb of unknown soldier is a powerful example of the role of cultural expression in the struggle for personal freedom and gender equality in Iran. By defying the regime's restrictions on public dancing and subverting its use of war symbols, the girls challenged the regime's moral and cultural codes and inspired others to push back against its oppressive policies. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to talk about my research, and thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much, Shahriar. We'll come back to you. Oh, shall I leave the lights up, actually, for Laura? We will come back to you after Laura. So welcome, Laura. We'll hand over to...
Sorry.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, there we are.
Is it possible to see that slideshow?
Can you see it now, Laura? We can all see it in the room.
Huh?
We can see it in the room, and it looks like it's online as well. So
Great.
Can you see it now, Laura?
Well, I'm looking at that tab on my laptop.
Okay.
So as long as you can see it, then if I click along, can you see that next one?
Yeah, right.
Perfect. Okay, we're good.
We're all good. Right, off you go.
Thank you. So just before I start, I just want to say apologies that I couldn't be there in person despite my 5:30 a.m. start. The trains were against me this morning. So big thanks to Vip and Hetty for supporting me to do this online, which I really appreciate. And also sending apologies from Caris Osborne, who is Executive Director at Phoenix Stand Theatre. We had originally conceived of this presentation together, but unfortunately Caris has suffered a bereavement this week, so can't join us. So I am speaking on behalf of both of us, and I'll do my best to answer any questions following the presentation. So without further ado, just for the audio description, I am a white woman. I'm sitting in my kitchen with a mandala type wirework behind me. I have short dark brown hair with a fringe at chin length, and I'm wearing tortoiseshell square glasses and a taupe round necked jumper. So the title of this presentation is 40 Years of Phoenix Dance Theatre, Connecting Knowledge Through Archive, Oral History and Repertoire. So in this presentation, I'll discuss the activities of Phoenix Dance Theatre that were undertaken to commemorate 40 years since its formation. The company archive, encompassing repertoire, can be seen as a catalyst for the curation of activities to secure a public and community engagement with the company heritage. The potential of the archive material, when digitised and made available in the public domain, is evident in how multiple forms of knowledge and experience can be connected and increase the scope for reach in line with arts funding and sustainability agenda. So Phoenix Dance Theatre is the longest standing contemporary dance company outside of London. It's one of very few mid-scale contemporary dance companies to employ a permanent company of professional dancers, and unique in being co-located within Northern Ballet's headquarters in Leeds City Centre. Over the years, the company has had multiple reinventions, but ultimately has always remained a national and international touring company, often performing narrative works, and also has a vast learning and outreach programme, which now reaches up to 600 people per year. Phoenix Dance Theatre believe that dance should be accessible to everyone because it changes lives and that great art is created through diversity. In 2021, Phoenix Dance Theatre celebrated 40 years of its existence. And as the organisation approached its birthday celebration, They were really aware that its current custodians wanted to celebrate all that had been achieved and the barriers that had been broken from their perspective that had allowed them to remain such a successful dance organisation. Dane Hurst was the artistic director at this time, and he wanted to ensure that the company celebrated its roots and how that still very much informs what it does today. Dane Hurst wanted to make sure that the programme facilitated collaboration with some of the founding members, that it engaged at community levels and offered theatre audiences the performance works on tour. Dane Hurst wanted more people to have access to the work and imagery that represented the company's history. So the project, loosely named 40 Years of Phoenix, was funded by the National Heritage Lottery Fund and was a layered project of multiple strands, and some a bit more relevant to today's conference than others, so we'll focus on those. But the outputs included a physical exhibition of 40 images to represent 40 years, an online virtual gallery, a podcast series, and the construction of a heritage arm that was made up of the company founders and previous company dancers, a young person's performance project, and company community performances. Outside of the funded activity, the company also curated and published a photographic book, and you might be able to see here, I've got that with me. I would have brought it today, but I'm happy to flick through that at the end if that's helpful. The company also ran a national tour presenting a mixed bill of what they call archival works. So as a bit of background and context for how this work came about, the work that was undertaken by Deborah Badu of State of Emergency to develop 20th century archives of Black British dance, including the work of Phoenix Dance Theatre, highlighted their vulnerability. That's according to Carr and Badu in 2020. The Black British Dance Archives project emerged through research that identified that the impact and contribution of Black British dance upon cultural heritage in the UK, particularly in relation to dance forms, was largely unacknowledged and in danger of being lost and forgotten. That's the State of Trust website 2025. Owing to the history of Phoenix Dance Company and its emergence through the educational and social experiences of a group of Black British men, the project supported the transference of the company archive materials to the Leeds University Special Collections Archive in 2013. This coincided with previous research that I had undertaken as part of a PhD research project between 2010 to 2014, which directly investigated the role of embodied knowledge in the archive through the concept of the body as archive, which as part of which I catalogued the archive collection that the company still had custody of prior to its deposit at Leeds University Special Collections. So following this work, during this time of archival mining, the company celebrated 30 years of its anniversary. And the celebrations included dance reconstructions of selected pieces of repertoire from throughout its history. Where possible, these were performed by those who had originally choreographed or performed the first iterations of the works. And this largely informed my thinking in particular around the role of embodied knowledge and its transmission in the archive. But this work really set a precedent for the company to continue to revive what they called archival works with the active involvement of those involved in the original making of the work, and expanded to a more intergenerational approach. So 5 years later, for the 35th birthday anniversary, Phoenix Dance Theatre restaged a work called Nightlife at the Flamingo. This was a seminal dance production that was staged in 1983, choreographed by Edward Lynch, with 5 founding members of the company. And then in 1989, it was again restaged, following the company being joined by 4 female dancers for the first time. So in 2016, Edward Lynch, who was the original choreographer, and the company founding members reimagined the piece as a celebration of this 35-year anniversary. Nightlife was reworked to include a cast of 35 dancers for 35 years. It was made up of 8 company dancers, 2 company apprentices, 20 youth academy dancers, and 5 previous Phoenix company dancers. And this is the first time that Phoenix staged a professional performance with a multi-generational cast. This project was principally about making art and engaging in culture with diverse groups and communities, and producing dance that is relevant to today's audiences. It was about celebrating the 35-year history of a Leeds-based dance institution with its roots in one of the most deprived areas of the city. But this work brought about historical recognition to those who had originally choreographed and performed the work, whilst providing opportunities for new generations of dancers to embody the essence of the work and gain a practical understanding of the working and creative practices of the company in its formative years. In the context of this conference, this type of practice raises questions about the distribution and development of the dance work itself. So this background really set a context for how Phoenix began to approach anniversary celebrations that facilitate something of like a trans-historical approach. This was entirely embraced in the multiple activities of the 40-year anniversary. Previous work to revive repertoire and bring together multiple generations of company members really set a precedent for the approach to marking 40 years under Dane Hurst's direction. Hurst had a clear vision for making accessible and transparent the contributions of the company to a wider British dance culture. There was a virtual gallery conceived as an immersive online space through which the company heritage could be explored in new and accessible ways. One-to-One Development Trusts were a local digital development company who used state-of-the-art technology to create a three-dimensional online gallery with rooms reflecting decades of the company work. The gallery hosts other resources, including an archive room for each decade and a virtual theatre stage, which can share footage of historical repertory of the company. I work closely with the developers and heritage team to identify archive resources to be digitised in the first phase of a long-term ambition to completely digitise the archive. And this was made fully accessible to the public. According to Google Analytics, the virtual gallery has had approximately 1,700 visitors since it launched in 2022, and approximately 3,100 exhibits have been examined in detail. Around 350 visits have been made through referrals from social media, and this sits in comparison with 30 visits to the physical archive at Leeds University Special Collections since its deposit in 2013. So Reshma et al. 2023 position virtual dance museums as learning tools to spread dance expertise to the following generation, end quote. And Phoenix's approach to building such resources is reliant upon the contributions of its members throughout its history. This is in part owing to the fact that the company is a repertoire company and has a transient nature as a result. Staff turnover is high, and the pace of implementing new projects and touring schedules maintains a forward-facing approach, which rarely allows for in-depth reflections upon heritage and lineages. The Heritage Project enabled a reframing of how the company operated and an emphasis upon heritage through a multidimensional approach. This incorporated the heritage arm, where company founders and previous dance professional dancers who worked with the company undertook a research and development process to develop resources for young people. The heritage arm played a key role in joining up the dots in images, ownership, and copyright, an aspect of this work that was hugely underestimated and delayed the implementation of this output quite substantially. So just I'm hoping that this will work. Let me know if you can see this Phoenix Dance Virtual Gallery. So obviously I can make the link available to this following this presentation, but I just wanted to share a little fly through to give you a sense of what the gallery looks and feels like.
So we can't see the virtual gallery at the moment.
Oh, hang on. That's because I've not shared this tab instead.
Oh, there you go. You can now.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Karen.
Fabulous.
So just to, I'm hoping that you can still see that, it's loading. But just to give you a sense, so you can click on any sort of items in the space. Obviously, this is I did rehearse this, but I can click on an image, and it will bring up the details of who the photography was, what the performance work is. There's also objects that have been scanned in. For example, here on this bench. If I click on a program, it will open the program for me to share the contents of that, which is being very slow to load. But you get a sense of that, and there are screens on some of the walls that you can click on, and there is archival footage of some of the repertoire in that as well. But just because of time, I will move on. So back to the presentation. Are you back with me on the presentation?
We are.
Yeah, great. So just another interesting point in relation to another layer of this work is that the company were keen to facilitate a wider engagement with the heritage. The company worked with young people and community and school groups. The groups participated in workshops with the heritage team, as pictured here, to learn about the history, and they co-created performance pieces in response. Activity also took place within local communities, including Hare Hills, which is the area from which the company originated. Similarly, there is a No Bounds Boys community group who collaborated with one of the heritage practitioners to explore the raw archive materials themselves. This included historical tour programs, newspaper cuttings, and photographs. And this group were encouraged to select and scan images themselves that they felt inspired by, and these were selected as a result to be featured in the virtual gallery and the physical exhibition. Another group of children from the Phoenix Dance Theatre Summer School were also given the opportunity to do the same. And they also scanned those documents and engaged in discussions about preserving history through these historical items. A parent of one of these participants who took part in a depth interview about the project said, "I had worked with the founder, David Hamilton, and the lead heritage practitioner years ago on another Leeds-based project. My daughter couldn't believe it when I got out the photos, like our own archive. The connection between the company and the school is so important. The stories told and the shared history is relevant to our kids. The stories, the events, and the moments connect us." So the practical engagement with the archive material and process of digitisation was embedded in the company's mission to reflect young people's input in decision-making processes across the organisation. The company reported that new value was brought to the process of digitising archival content as a result of this work with young people, and has since appointed a young person on their board of trustees. So another aspect, the archive of documents that have been featured in the virtual gallery, as Renata Browninger states, do not fully capture the dances themselves, whereas language plays an important role in its transmission. That's 2020, page 251. Browninger further states that both the written word and oral tradition are crucial to archiving knowledge about dance. It seems important not to discriminate between different forms of documents and uses of language, but rather to recognise how each form complements the information we have about a dance piece, end quote. So through discussion, Dane Hurst and I agreed that the lack of voices from throughout the company's heritage work was an overlooked opportunity. Given the proximity of the company to its founding circumstances and the number of founding and previous company members still located in the city of Leeds, it seemed an important moment to collate such narratives. Jeff Friedman notes that, I quote, "The communicative process of oral history interviewing occurs through the embodied co-presence of both the interviewer and the narrator. But this process is also situated both in place and in time, and is immersed in the interactions subjectivities as informed by their respective histories," end quote. As such, we took an intergenerational approach to the series, bringing groups of company members and those with combined memories from throughout its history. Moreover, the approach taken was to support previously marginalised voices to be foregrounded and to take the role of interviewee and interlocutors. This approach enabled shared memories and overlaps in historical highlights to emerge, which further illuminated the materials gathered for the virtual gallery. As this work developed, it became evident that the narratives would form an essential part of the materials placed in the virtual gallery and in the commemorative book. Hetty Blades considers the role of the commons in relation to ownership and the sharing of knowledge, recognizing that motivating factors in the sharing of dance practices might include connecting with audiences and peers, as well as artistic and personal fulfillment. The podcasting process produced insights that enabled a more comprehensive understanding of the materials in the virtual gallery, and owing to repetition of key moments emerging through the narratives, informed the selection of materials to be included in the exhibition. I'm just conscious of time.
And seeing them obviously older,
But-
not so much wiser, but definitely physical and so demanding. Coming from, obviously, again, from the place where, you know, the movement, very technical and etc., etc. But obviously with Phoenix and with the way, I'm sure when you hear David's speech, you can really understand how much it's really important for them to, use technique and what have you, but it's really about their culture, about the music and all of that kind of like different things that bring into Phoenix itself and what have you. And so I have to get kind of like strip certain things down. And so just the embodiment of the physicality, and David was explaining about jumping high and, you know, being like an athlete. It was just like, it was an eye opener, but obviously a beautiful eye opener for me. And I think that really going towards the kind of like choreography that I do presently at my own time, it stems from that. And seeing them obviously older.
So that's just an example of one of the interviews that I undertook with one of the Heritage Arm members in support of that research and development process, which also provided extra kind of key information that contextualized the development of the virtual gallery, and really gathered these first-person perspectives of the individuals who had undertaken this work with Phoenix Dance Theatre. But this also was quite significant in the way in which it enabled those members of the Heritage Arm to share what they think is important for the company to prioritise when referencing historical information. And as such, it was a really empowering process for those involved who felt like they had a meaningful stake in the ongoing representation of the company and its historical identity. These narratives that emerge demonstrate the potential for a collective authorship through the opportunity to work both creatively and through discussion with company peers, offering a more democratic mode of historical representation in the heritage work. So just to bring these thoughts to a close, the activities of Phoenix in this particular project has centralised the archive as a means through which the multiple generations and stakeholders can inform decision-making around the representation of company heritage. Moreover, the process of curating a virtual space through which the company heritage and archive can be accessed has demonstrated integrated and democratic approaches to heritage work, which foreground the voices and experiences of those who are often underrepresented, especially in the context of a repertory company. Amplifying the circulation of heritage within multiple groups and digital platforms evidences the ways in which new understandings and practices can support public engagement and a sense of shared ownership and reach. Thank you very much.